Hello everyone! In this lesson we will learn how to improve our blog posts. To be more specific, we will learn 3 new techniques that will allow us to create more captivating blogs. So by the end of this lesson we will have answered the following questions. Number 1, what is a featured image? Number 2, what is the read more tag? And number 3, what is an excerpt within the context of WordPress? Alright, now at this point, let's jump right into the action and begin answering those questions one by one. So here we are on my home page, and the first thing that I'm going to do, since this lesson is all about blog posts, is navigate to my travel page. So up in my navigation menu, I will click on Travel. Alright, and remember this page will show the most recent blog posts from the travel category. So let's begin making a few improvements to this page. So here we see the first post, and then the second post, and then the third post. And currently this content looks a bit boring. I think it would be better if we included a photograph for each post right about here. Now in previous lessons, we already learned how to add photographs within the content for a page or a post. Now while that is certainly a valid way of adding photos to your content, in this lesson I want to show you a feature that WordPress has that will let us associate an image with a post. So WordPress will create a one-to-one relationship between a post and its image. So for example, for this trip to the Midwest post, we can assign it a featured image, and then WordPress will use that featured image in relation to this post throughout our website. If that explanation didn't make a whole lot of sense, that's okay, because at this point, let me show you visually how to add a featured image. So for example, let's work on this trip to the Midwest post. So I will use this top left link to go into my admin dashboard. Within the sidebar, I will click on Posts to view a list of all of my posts. Here we see Trip to the Midwest, so I will click on that to edit it. Alright, now your first instinct, if you want to add a photo here, might be to click into this main content field and insert an image right here. So maybe you would use the Add Media button. Now that will technically work, but I want to show you a better way. So let's leave this main content field alone, and instead I want to direct your attention to the right-hand side of the screen. So if I scroll down a bit, actually if I scroll down all the way, notice in the very bottom right-hand corner this box named Featured Image. Let's click on the Set Featured Image link. I'm going to upload a new photo for this Trip to the Midwest post, so I will click on Upload Files, and then click Select Files. On my computer's desktop, I have a folder named Assets, and then within that folder, I have a folder named Travel. For this blog post, I'm going to use this photo of a field, so I will select that file. Once it finishes uploading, I will click Set Featured Image towards the bottom right corner, and there we see it. So at this point, I'm going to scroll back up and click the blue Update button. And now let me jump back to my public front-facing website. This is the home page. Let me jump back to the travel page. Okay, so for the first post, we see the title, Trip to the Midwest, and now we see the featured image. Now at this point, you might be wondering to yourself, why didn't we just add the image within the main content field for the post? What's the point of using the featured image option instead of just inserting the image along with the main content? Well, there are a few reasons. So number 1, you'll notice that the content for this post lives in this column. And the information about the post, so the date that it was posted on and the category that it lives in, that information takes up this column. So if we would have inserted this image into the main content field with this text, then the image would have lived in this column. Instead, because we set this image to be the featured image, our 2016 theme, or whatever theme you are using, will be on the lookout for the featured image, and it will use it in special places in the layout. So for example, if we switched to a different theme instead of the 2016 theme, perhaps the featured image would be used as a smaller thumbnail right about here. The idea is that every theme is different, And it's up to the theme to use the featured image in a compelling way. Now let's get back to the task at hand. My goal is to make this travel page look as nice as possible. And currently, I think this photo is a bit too tall. I think it would look a lot nicer if this image used a really wide but not very tall landscape aspect ratio, right? Because that way we are still adding a bit of captivating imagery to this screen, but the image won't be as tall, so it won't force users to scroll down as far just to begin reading the real content. So to edit this featured image, or I should say to crop the featured image, I'm just going to jump back into my admin dashboard, click on Posts in the sidebar. Here is Trip to the Midwest. Let me click that again. Scroll down and look in the very bottom right corner for featured image. And if I click on that image, I can then look towards the top right corner and use this Edit Image option. Okay, now from this screen, I can simply click and drag the portion of the image that I want to use. All right, so I'm happy with that selection. Now to actually crop the image, just use this first icon here. Okay, so that cropped the image, and now just click the blue Save button. Then be sure to look in the bottom right corner for Set Featured Image. Perfect, so now we can see the image is cropped just the way we want it. So let's scroll back up and click Update to truly save our changes. And now if we jump back to our front-facing website, let me click on Travel. Perfect, I think that looks pretty nice. All right, now at this point in the lesson, we've learned what a featured image is. Next, let's change gears and learn about the Read More tag. So for example, with our Trip to the Midwest post, maybe on this screen that lists multiple posts, maybe on this screen we only want to show the first couple of sentences of this text, and then we want to include a link right about here that says, click to read more. And that link will take visitors to the detail or single view for just that one post. Now this is a fairly simple feature to implement. The only hard part is knowing where to look. So let me show you. So let me jump over to my admin dashboard and click on Posts in the left-hand sidebar. I want to edit Trip to the Midwest, so I will click on that. All right, and let's say after these few sentences, so right here where the cursor is right now, this is where I want to insert the Read More link. So with my cursor placed right there, I can just go up to this menu and click on this icon that I'm selecting right now. If you hover over it, it reads Insert Read More tag. Okay, and here we can see that it was successfully added to my post. Now I'm going to save or update this post. So in the right-hand column, I will click the blue Update button. Then I will jump back to my public-facing website, click on Travel. Perfect, so we have our title, our featured image, and now we only see this little bit of text. And if a visitor is intrigued by this content, they can click this Continue Reading link, or they can click on the featured image or the title. So as an example, I will click on Continue Reading. WordPress even scrolls me down to the exact point on the page where the Read More insert tag was inserted. I believe it was right about here. But anyways, here we are on the dedicated single post view for Trip to the Midwest. And if we look up in our address bar, you can see that this is the detail screen for the Trip to the Midwest post. All right, so that's really all there is to the Read More tag. Once you know where to find that icon in the menu, it's very simple to use. So feel free to use that for any and all of your posts. Okay, so for a quick lesson recap, so far we've addressed featured images, the Read More tag. Next, let's change gears and talk about excerpts. As an example, I will continue to edit the Trip to the Midwest post. So let's jump over to the admin area, click on Posts. Here's Trip to the Midwest. Let's edit that one. All right, now by default, WordPress does not show us the option to create an excerpt. In order to begin using excerpts, we need to click this button towards the top right corner of the screen named Screen Options. So if I click that, this new menu area appears, and here we see Excerpt. So go ahead and check the checkbox right near the word Excerpt, and then to close this menu, you can just click Screen Options, which is right about here. Just click it one more time. All right, now if we scroll down towards the bottom of this screen, towards the bottom of the left-hand column, here we see a box named Excerpt. Now I realize there's a good chance you have no idea what an excerpt is, so let's find out by experimenting. So within this box, I will type, "This is an important snippet of text from the Midwest trip post." You get the idea. You could type anything you want in this field. And now if I scroll up and save or update this post, and then jump back to my public-facing website and click on Travel, here we see the title of the post, and here we see the excerpt. Now remember, every theme is different. Now I'm using the 2016 theme, and it chooses to display the excerpt right here, but not every theme will do this. Each theme will style and position and use the excerpt differently. In other themes, when we fill out the excerpt field, it might not display this normal text here at all, and it might only display the excerpt until you click Continue Reading to view the full article. So I know it's a bit tricky to wrap your head around what the excerpt really is, because it's different in every theme, but in general, the excerpt field is your chance to provide a catchy, important part of the post, to catch people's eye, to get their attention, or to summarize the post in an interesting fashion. Also, I will point out that even within a single theme, the excerpt can be used in different ways on different pages. So for example, on this category archive screen, here we see the excerpt used in a slightly larger than average font. However, if I use my website's search functionality, and if I search for Midwest, there's only one result, obviously the trip to the Midwest blog post, but now you'll notice that all we see is the title, the featured image, and instead of the regular text, here we see the excerpt. Only it's not styled like a subheadline any longer. Now it just looks like standard small text. So long story short, think of the excerpt field as your chance to summarize a post. And that's actually going to bring this lesson to a close. To review, we learned about featured images, we learned about the read more tag, and finally we learned about excerpts. In our next lesson, we will begin learning about comments. Comments allow visitors of your website to interact with you. If you already know for a fact that you do not want commenting enabled on your website, that's a-okay. I will show you how to disable comments. But for a lot of people and a lot of websites, the comments section can create a vibrant community. Anyways, there's a lot to be said about comments. There's a lot to learn. We're going to have a blast. Let's keep things rolling, and I will see you in the next lesson.